What's up, everyone? If you're watching the replay, go ahead and skip this countdown. If you're watching the replay, go ahead and skip this countdown. Don't forget to say hi. Don't be shy. Andrew, I see you. What's up? Charlie, what's up from Denver? Shar from Las Vegas, what's up? Saeed, what's up? What's up, Skyler? I see you. Video looks nice and sharp. I can't hear you though. Okay, I think I can hear you now. Test,
yeah,
test.
You're good.
All right.
You're good.
All right, cool. Come on, I'm doing just fine. Ready for this show. Aman, where are you from?
Hey, time to get it started, no delay, let's work. Wanna see you be an SEO expert. Paul Andre De Vera, steady dropping knowledge. Over 15 years in the game, so he knows all about it. Master the art of SEO, you will be amazed. Time to get your brand off page to on page. Dropping knowledge, legendary for sure. Whether you're just getting started or self-employed entrepreneur. Yeah, let's go. Subscribe to the SEO video show.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the SEO video show where SEO is alive and fun. My name is Paul Andre De Vera, aka Dre, and I curate SEO videos released in the past week into about 1-minute clips. My favorite part of the show is when I get to introduce my guest, and my guest this week is the founder of Ardent Growth, Skyler Reeves. Before we get started, I want to make sure that everyone that put I love SEO and I love product SEO last week, send me your email at dre@seo.video and I will send you the book. But be sure to type in I love SEO this week to get a free giveaway of IMG courses. We want to make sure it's like a Udemy for SEO. You can learn, but they have a bunch of courses on there. So put I love SEO throughout the chat or in the description below or in the comments below, and you will get chosen next week. So but before you go, say what's up to everyone in chat. I see Charlie, Amon, Saeed, I'm on again, Ashar, Glenn, Andrew. What's up, everyone? Okay, let's get on with the show.
This is Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. Why do SEOs love the farmer's market? Lots of organic content.
If page speed is a ranking factor, how much weight does it hold? There are two big categories on ranking changes at Google. Illyes explains.
Two big categories of ranking changes. One is where you launch something to fix a persistent problem or a bigger problem. If I wanted to give an example for this is fake news, for example, where there are sites that are ranking better than authoritative sources, and you want to fix that. The problem with that is that in your experiments, when you push down non-authoritative sources, then that may actually look in your metrics as a negative change, meaning that the metrics generated by the experiment will look negative. And that's because users might be more willing to click on something, for example, that's more clickbaity.
That makes sense, yeah.
And then if you push those down, then that might look negative in your experiments. And then on the other end of the spectrum is lightweight changes, where you perhaps just need to fix something very minor, or you want to influence something.
HTTPS, for instance?
Yeah, HTTPS would be a good example for that, where we specifically designed it to be a tiebreaker because we didn't want to compromise the quality and the relevancy of our search results, but we still wanted to give a little boost for HTTPS results in our search results, enough to break a tie, for example, where that happens, which actually happens more often than not.
So if you guys are freaking out on page speed, don't worry, it's just a tiebreaker. So if you just get your content right, you'll be in good shape. Steve Toth from SEO Notebook shows us how to get Google Suggest directly into Google Sheets with a free tool by our buddy Pablo Rosales of SEO Ruler. Let's check it out.
And I'm going to show you how Grow Keywords and this script is going to be able to do automated keyword research for us pretty much. So I've installed the script. If you want instructions on how to install that, just check out this video in the description. And here's the script itself. It's really easy. And once you have the script installed, you're going to see SEO Ruler right here. And all you need to do is just select the keyword that you want to expand on, hit keyword ideas, and in just a few moments, you're going to get a bunch of suggestions. Now, if you want to expand on this, you like this one, you can expand on it further. I've gone ahead and done that here for all of the keywords, and this only took me like maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes tops. And can you imagine that? So like the amount of time that you're saving and just the sort of inspiration that you can get for new topics is just awesome, right?
If you haven't subscribed to Pablo's Patreon, you should. I'm a subscriber over there. I'm a Patreon. He puts out really good tools. He applies his feedback from all his Patreon members. Great stuff over at SEO Ruler. Be sure to check that out. He also has a free Chrome plugin. On the Summit UK channel, they tell us how to drive performance effectiveness across PPC and SEO.
So we've grouped these into 3 different areas. We've got a few case studies, but starting off, we've got sharing hygiene data. So we've got a couple of examples here. First of all, sharing your SEO crawl data to identify PPC broken links. I know Google flags these up sometimes, but you'd be surprised how many aren't automatically flagged in your account. So this can obviously help to save you some budget. And then also using your Google or Bing search query reports to identify any rising search terms. So we did this recently with one of our startup brands, and the team were able to create a new piece of long form content on the site, and it actually really quickly became our 3rd best traffic driver on the site, because we were able to jump on a new term that was driving traffic in the market. So we're really happy with that. Something that we're doing often as well is testing messaging on paid search that we can then apply to our SEO meta descriptions. So we've got a case study on that coming up, and then also applying the SEO principles to improve our PPC quantity score.
If you guys are already doing PPC, you might as well get that data and use it to help out your SEO program. All right, Kevin Indig had an AMA this week, and he tells us 3 tips, SEO tips that every early stage founder should know.
So we've grouped these in.
First one is, the point at which you should invest in SEO depends heavily on your product, customers, and monetization. I spoke about this before, but not every startup needs to do SEO. First, find product market fit, then find product channel fit or channel market fit, and then iterate from there. Number 2, the best way to use SEO is when you have users or suppliers creating the content for you, and you basically just work on optimizing it and optimize how it's served to Google. And number 3, very narrow tip, but if you blog on your own site. Don't use Medium. I mean, nothing against Medium per se. I think it's a great platform. I want them to succeed. I just think that if you want to distribute content on Medium, you want to use their import function, which automatically gives you a so-called canonical tag, which means that on Google search, your blog ranks at the top, but the Medium users will still see your content. I think that's kind of the optimal mix. I'm saying that because you want to build out a destination as soon as possible in your product's career or brand career, and not build too much on other platforms that you can control, where you cannot really own your content and so on. I'm not saying that Medium, is a walled garden and doesn't allow you to do any of these things. I'm just thinking that you want to bring any content as close to your landing pages as possible, or as close to your platform as possible.
Do you ever get scared editing a post on page 1 and it's not on the top 3? Andrew gives his advice on a top hat rank channel. Let's check it out.
Has a very high quality content experience.
First one is, the point at which you should invest.
We're starting to notice some patterns.
On the blog, you'll see they very commonly will have a very well done illustration above the fold. The column width in particular is narrow, it's easy to read and pleasurable to do so. They also build in things that are specific to them and their product in this content. I think this is a very important takeaway for this video, is think about what is specific about you that you can build into your content experience. And for them, they actually will tell us how many links each article got. Obviously, they have the confidence to get a lot of links through what they do, but this really does help them rank better and also highlight their specific takeaways for.
Mary Haynes sees a pattern for web pages that are ranking well in these recent updates. Let's find out what that pattern is.
Pages that performed well, either with the product reviews update or with these mini updates that we keep talking about that have been happening all throughout 2021, where we're actually able to recognize that the page that did well with these updates actually captured the reader's attention faster. And that can look different for every page that we look at. Sometimes, something that Morty Oberstein noted in his article on the product review update is that many pages that are seeing positive effects as a result of this update had something at the top of the post, like a table of contents or a bulleted list. And I'm seeing the same thing too. Now, I'm not saying that every single page on the web needs to have a table of contents or a bulleted list at the top of the post, but I think that in a lot of cases that can help your readers to understand the value that's on this page before they've actually engaged with the page.
All right, adding a table of contents on the top. I know some people that do that. My guest does that all the time on his blog. Let's go ahead. I got one more thing to share. If the creator's block is real, Ross Simmons shows us how we can snap out of it.
So you're struggling to come up with content ideas and you need ideas fast. Here's a great way that you can do that. You're gonna look at your greatest hits. I know that sounds a little bit strange, but everybody has them. Everybody has that 1 or 2 or maybe 20 posts that you have shared over the last couple of years that completely took off. You're going to look at them, you're going to study them, and you're going to look for an insight into why you believe that post in particular took off. And you're going to use that for inspiration around the content that you're going to share tomorrow.
Speaking of content, my guest has an SEO and content marketing agency, and this brings me to my favorite part of the show. But please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. While I get this thing started here, hold on.
Skyler graduated from MSU with a degree in computer science. He is dedicated to bringing national level SEO and marketing campaigns to small businesses across the U.S. He has achieved hundreds of #1 rankings, recently increased organic traffic by 2,055% for a home services client. He grew his agency from 500,000 in less than 10 months. He wants to ignite the passion to growth in market in others. Please welcome the founder of CEO Artie Growth, Skyler Reeves.
Hey, what's up, Skyler, my man? How are you doing today?
Hey, what's going on, man? Doing pretty well. I love your intros, as always.
Always. I see that you have a new setup. Is this new studio that you were building out when we were last talking?
I moved into a different office here. We hired some new people. Somebody didn't want an office. They wanted one without a window, so I put them in there and moved into this one.
Got it. So you're growing. So I mean, how many people are at your agency now?
We're at 7 full-time right now.
Nice. Okay, before we talk about like growing your agency and how you did it, let's take this back. Skyler, you gotta let us know, how'd you get into SEO?
Yeah, so I graduated with a degree in computer science and was working in the transportation industry, primarily focused on like algorithm development, things like that. That's really where my bread and butter is. And some people were working on the website for the company, and they were talking about needed to rank, and started learning about SEO and this black box of an algorithm. And that got me interested. So I mean, I've been down a rabbit hole ever since. The idea of being able to try to figure out how an algorithm works, reverse engineer it was just like a bug that bit me. So.
Got it. Okay, so you were actually, was this the startup? Was this at a company where you're here in the Bay Area? Because I remember you and I were chatting. You were out here in the Bay Area at one point, right? Was that company?
Yes, that was Rundoyan. That's up in Beaverton. It's right around like Nike and stuff, So
okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. All right. So let's see here. I want to know. Okay, you started back then when in the transportation industry, but so. How'd you actually learn it? I mean, a computer science degree, it's not necessarily SEO, right? I mean, so like, how'd you actually learn SEO?
Yeah. Immense amount of reading and then testing, frankly. I just consumed every piece of knowledge that I could. I went to the same places I think a lot of other people start off at, like, reading the Moz Ultimate Guide to SEO and, just reading everything on Ahrefs. Ahrefs' YouTube channel was a gold mine of information whenever I was first getting started. And, between taking that and coupling it with how I understood, like programming and the way, like I knew quite a bit of HTML already. My focus was in like Python and Java and things like that. But knowing what I knew about HTML and, and semantic structures and things like that, I think made it kind of just make sense. It just clicked. So.
Got it. Okay. So like, were you just in-house? How long were you doing in-house until you actually started transitioning to doing it yourself, or for as a service?
Probably only 6 months, frankly, because I started taking on some consulting stuff on the side, and it quickly reached the point where I was making quite a bit more doing consulting than when I was working for the company I was working for. So I put in my resignation in December, spent 30 days training up someone to replace me, and started the company in January. So.
Wow, 6 months. So I mean, how'd you even get started into consulting like that? I mean, was it like someone just saw you and they asked you? Was it a referral? Was it someone that you knew already that needed it and say, hey, I can do this for you? Like, how was that kind of like a transition?
Yeah, so a big part of it started with I was just doing some websites and stuff on the side, and people who had websites, they wanted websites to rank as well. So started ranking a few local business websites, and from there, a lot of it was referral driven for sure.
Got it. That's referrals are always a nice way to get clients. Okay. Now let's go on up your journey right here. So now you're consulting, and you're consulting by yourself. Did Ardent Growth start yet or not yet?
It was a consulting team of one at the time.
Got it.
We started, added our first employee after probably about a year, I think. So, and been growing ever since. So.
Nice. Yes, I saw that little metric out there that you see floating around. You went from 500K in revenue in less than 10 months. Can you tell us, the process how you did this? Because staying at a job for just 6 months and going this on your own, and then going hard and getting to 500K revenue, that's a nice accomplishment. That's gotta love that. You gotta share some tips and secrets and how you did this.
Yeah, so a lot of it I think comes down to processes and systems. Like, document everything, get everything as systematized as quickly as possible. Not only through the, especially if you're still, if you're learning, right? Like you want to be able to test stuff constantly, figure out what works, iterate on that, but you need to have it documented. That way you can always reflect back and try to say, okay, like, why did this work? Why didn't this work? And then especially when you begin to delegate, you start to ask yourself, okay, bucket things into priority lists of what's worth your time, right? And then break it down all the way there and figure out what you can delegate, kind of like an Eisenhower matrix style. And say, all right, what do I not need to spend my time on? Have that documented, have very well, written. We break it down to the point to where I say our SOPs need to be built in such a way that somebody off the street could come in and just be able to do it if they followed it step by step. So that was our main focus for like the first 12 months, was just getting everything documented that we possibly could. And now internally, so we use Guru for our knowledge base. It's really handy because like if you, a lot of times when you're trying to go in between like SOPs or processes, you'll have to go to another tool or go to another tab. Guru actually just slides out. There's a Chrome extension for it. It just slides out in your browser. Mm-hmm. And so now internally, we kind of have an ongoing competition to see, like bare minimum, everyone adds 2 cards per day. I'm like, look, there's something you've learned or done today that's not documented yet. Just document it, right? So everyone documents 2 cards per day, and then there's sort of like an internal competition going on because we track it. So everyone's trying to beat each other and be the one who adds the most, knowledge to the knowledge base now. So we've sort of gamified it, I guess.
Nice. So gamification, like these note cards. So it's called Guru. Is that what that?
Yeah, Guru. Yep.
All right, I gotta check that out. All right, so like, okay, you're talking about document process, so like, but still 500K, like, there's still a lot of more to that. Like, how are you finding these people? Like, how are you closing them? Like, how is this like journey?
Yeah, so a lot of it was really referral. I wish there was like some secret, but it was really just came down to I try to approach things from, instead of looking for people who had problems with their websites or things like that, like I looked for websites that are already doing pretty well, like they were like architecturally they were designed well, but they just didn't have any organic traffic. But I would try to find the businesses that also were doing well on social. So if they were, because what you could tell is that if a business has put effort into their website design and they're putting effort into their social, but they don't have organic traffic, this is a business that actually like they care. They know they need to invest in marketing and things like that. So when you come to pitch to them, the idea of like, hey, you want organic traffic, they're, educating them a bit on, what all that entails. They're a lot easier to sell on it because they actually care about their brand. They're looking at the long term versus I know a lot of folks have recommended, find problems with the website, go to those people, say, hey, here's what's wrong with it. Here's what I can do for you. And I think a lot of times what you're running through there is either it's never good to open up a sales conversation with, hey, here's what's wrong, with what you're doing, bringing negative to it. And B, like a lot of times if there are problems like that, it might be because frankly, they didn't have the budget to invest in it to begin with. So.
Love it. Dropping those sales tips and closing tips. I never even thought of that. So, but how are you actually, like determining like they don't have organic traffic? Like, are you using just some third-party tools and
just like saying Ahrefs, things like that? Yeah.
Nice. All right, we already got a comment here by AKM Digital. Just want to know, Skyler, is there any openings at Ardent Growth?
Depends on what your strengths are. We're always looking for people who We're always looking for good writers. We're always looking for people who know how to take and distribute content across social. That's always that's a time-consuming thing. It takes that, and it takes creativity, both in terms of copy and design. So you can hit up our website. We have a careers item down at the bottom. Feel free to submit a resume. So.
AKM Digital, send your resume over. All right. Now I want to talk a little more about this 500K steps. I mean, I want to dive more into it, because I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there that want to start it as that one-person agency, and they want to grow it. I mean, what type of mindset do you have to be in? Because I mean, because you already quit your job. Like, how were you able to sustain like certain things? And tell me that growth part.
Yeah, so I mean, there's to give you like the journey here. I mean, when it comes to like uncomfortable situations, like I learned, I'll never forget a quote that one of my staff sergeants had said to me when I was in the military. We were pretty worn out. They were putting us through some rigorous exercise at the time. That's what they called it. And he said, you have to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And so like this experience of wanting to take risks and being okay with it, and just kind of being okay with the situation that you're in, I'd been in enough of them that that part didn't really bother me. So from a mindset, that's the first step. You have to be able to have that mindset of being okay to take risks, like, to be an entrepreneur, things like that. From there though, like one of the critical things, about it is, I was actually watching SEO Fight Club, right, with like Ted and Kyle's show, right? Mm-hmm. And Ryan Stewart was on there talking about systems, processes, delegation, things like that. And at the time, one of the biggest bottlenecks that I had was project management, actually being able to organize things and stay on top of things, stay on top of deliverables, and really having a plan. Went and checked out the blueprint and consumed everything like in probably like a week. That's another big thing, I guess. Like if you want to grow fast, like you have to be willing to, not to be one of those people who's like all like complete work culture, like workaholic. But when you're really passionate about something, like you want to spend every waking moment doing it, and that's what I did. I was spending probably 12 to 16 hours a day. At some point, just consuming all the knowledge that I could. Not that I recommend that everyone do that, but if it's what you like, then do it. So. Consumed all that information, took Ryan's processes, everything that he had in the blueprint. It's a framework to take and adapt for SEO from a business perspective. Took all that, adapted it to work the way we wanted it to work, began doing additional automation and things like that onto it. And really the biggest thing I think that helped us scale was, one, the processes, and two, the automation. That way, the work that it required to pull in data and actually analyze and figure out what you needed to do was brought down to a minimum. That way I could focus more of my time on solving like more strategic problems and or doing sales. So
love it. Okay, you were talking about more about the blueprint, the SEO blueprint trading. Ryan was here on the show, and thank you for making the introduction there. I totally appreciate it. I'm curious, because when I'm in your Slack group and I see a little like star or like a little blue badge on yours, what is your a little check mark. What is your what do you do for the SEO blueprint? What's your role in there?
Role is just the person there to answer people's questions and help them out. That's Ryan's launching a thing with the blueprints right now, actually, where people can get what's called blueprint certified. And I got that check mark from him. Like he wanted to make me, I guess, quote unquote, blueprint verified like about a year ago or so. Mm-hmm. He just approached me and said, hey, it's not going to notice how much you're just constantly trying to help people, constantly trying to give people information. And, so he just got me involved that way. Like I don't work for the blueprint or anything like that.
Got it.
I just absorbed everything they did and try to help as many people as I possibly could. That's, I always said that if I hadn't really started doing this for a living, I probably would have just taught at a university. So whether it's teaching, helping people solve problems, that's what I've always been about. So.
Love it. That's a great attitude. That's a great way just to be really, really, really good to the world. Okay, you're talking about processes and then automation, right? So, can you talk a little bit more automation? Is this the stuff about Python? Do you do stuff with Python with automation here? Is this? Tell me a little more about your automation portion of your business.
Yeah, so It's really everywhere. I mean, a lot of it started with AppScript inside of Google Sheets. Any SEO, like we all use Google Sheets all the time, right? And it's a lot easier than writing Visual Basic in the back end of Excel, frankly. So a lot of it was just Google Sheets, AppScript, leveraging different functions that you can write in there to pull in data from different APIs, things like that, and just really speed up the data collection process. From there, though, we so started working on some Python stuff. Everything from collecting doing keyword research. Started with doing it for local SEO, pulling in SERP data feature, things like that, and then. One of the problems that we had consistently had was, when we're trying to really plan out a content strategy for someone, how to know really like what topics need to go in each article, beyond just like gut instinct or beyond just looking at like what are like doing like copycat style SEO where you're looking at, what are the top 10 SERP results doing, things like that. Like that never really set well with me because I felt like it wasn't contributing anything, to the conversation. I felt like a lot of times too that sometimes people just want a quick answer, right? And so what we did is we said, okay, let's create a topic cluster model that uses Python to pull in SERP results, analyze, cluster these things together, and basically it maps out for us, how each piece of content needs to be structured within like a hub and spoke strategy. It lets you know immediately where keyword gaps are, where cannibalization issues exist, things like that. Whenever you start to plug in, client side data into our tool, we built that internally. We originally started it with the fetcher, where we actually collect the SERP results using Python. I ended up rebuilding it in Golang just because Golang was I was able to shave off like about a second almost off of each query that I was querying to the API. And, when you're doing 2.5 million queries or something like that, that saves a ton of time. So did that, ran it asynchronously, and now we're able to pull in and cluster keywords together. Like we can do about 50,000 and takes about 30-ish minutes. So.
Okay, cool. So with in Python, I mean, what are some things you could do with Python with SEO? I mean, because I'm trying to level up on my SEO game too, and like possibly learn Python just to see what I can do. Because I mean, it's something that I have never really came across and want to do, but like I'm seeing more and more SEOs learn it. It's like it's a language that everyone's like been using. So I'm curious, like what are the things that we can do with Python, and like how can we learn it? Like what are some of the ways that we should what angle should we take within Python? Because I'm sure like there's so many parts of Python, but what should we focus on in Python?
So it's one thing I'll say just kind of like up front is that it really doesn't matter what language that you're using. I think Python's just sort of got the spotlight right now in the SEO community, but I mean, whether you're writing it in, JavaScript or Go or, C++ even, like the language it doesn't matter. What matters more is having an understanding of what things are possible to do with programming. So, if you want to start with Python, I think Python's an easy language to start with. It's very accessible. There's a ton of resources out there on it. JavaScript is another good one to start with. And JavaScript, I think, is actually more useful for SEOs than Python just because of what you can do with it inside of, things like Google Sheets, the things that you can start to learn to do with it, like even on, like React-based websites, things like that, really understanding how, client-side server interactions work. But if you're going to start learning it, I mean, my background, we pretty much always just went to like the documentation. So I mean, that's not the best resource for somebody just starting out, just to go to like python.org, /docs or whatever. But I think a great resource for people who are wanting to get an introduction into it is there's a website called Team Treehouse. Team Treehouse, I think it's like $25 or so a month, but they have a bunch of really good courses on there you can go and learn from, and you can think of it like Udemy, except that it's really one, I guess it's a little more expensive than Udemy is per month, but the instructors on there are, former engineers at Airbnb and, tech like Valley companies. So the difference between that and Udemy is, that your instructor is somebody who's, has a lot of experience. You can trust that they're going to be teaching you best practices. So as far as like what you can do with it, I mean, really the sky's the limit, I guess. You can go all the way from like, starting with some easy stuff, just like, let me just do some rank tracking. Like if you want to build your own rank tracker tool, that keeps up with things. It's a lot cheaper if you build it out to do that than what it is to, pay for a tool. You can take that data and have it, pipe into Google Cloud Storage and render it in Data Studio, or have it just go into Google Sheet, whatever you want it to do, all the way onto, machine learning, things like that, where you're, processing natural language and using like IBM Watson to understand like entities and entity distribution, things like that.
So I'm curious. I mean, so it was Treehouse, right? Treehouse. Is it Treehouse.com?
TeamTreehouse.com, I believe, is the website.
All right. Okay, so continue on that with some of the more the automation and in-house tools. I'm curious, like, what other tools have you built like in-house, like, so you can give an idea, like, that helps more of the automation part, and will you ever make any of this public?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no desire to run a SaaS company, so we started with like rank trackers. A lot of automation around project management and like, communication, things like creating outlines and whatnot, where, we can take all that data, pipe it into a project management tool. Whenever things get finished, they automatically, send a client an email or send another designer an email saying that they're ready to work on a graphic. You can start with small things like that to save a lot of time. Other tools that we've worked on are, things like, like link intelligence report, financial modeling, being able to build out, financial projections, for people. And those are really the main two, I think, that we spent the most of our time on currently is just financial projections, the topic cluster, and the link intelligence report.
Got it. Okay. So with all that, I mean, you also built something around, or I saw you mention like about 4 months ago, you on LinkedIn, you said you're going to build something on topic clusters with Python, like some kind of stuff. So, I mean, is that built out now? And is that something that you're using? And what is it actually doing? So, like, how, can you tell us the process of like what is it actually doing?
Yeah, so we originally built it just to be able to say, okay, like, if we're looking at SERP similarity, like there's a lot of tools out there that do similar things. I think like Keyword Insights.ai, they've got something like that, like Keyword Cupid, Neurotext, they do some stuff like this. It's where you're looking to say, okay, let me feed this thing a set of keywords, and it's going to go and look at the SERP results, and it's looking at like how much similarity are there between the SERP results. And if it shares X amount of, exact URLs in common, you have to account for the fact that featured snippets have the hashtag, afterwards. You have to drop that off. But if they have X amount of URLs in common, you can say, okay, from what Google's seeing, these are pretty similar terms, so let me group these together. If you do that across a large enough set of keywords, you can start to get an idea of like, okay, this concept goes with this term, and it really helps you separate out things like, is this a product intent search term? Is this a information intent search term? Things like that. So we built that out. We're using it internally. One thing we've recently done with it is we added search intent. We began calculating search intent automatically with it. We started rendering it in a graph database using Neo4j, which is like opened up like a brand new way to think about creating topic clusters and like internal linking and understanding like when how you could actually build when you're approaching a topic and you're trying to build topical authority in it. I think one of the problems when you begin to try to broach into a new topic, and it's like, okay, how do you actually get there, right, and actually establish topical authority? So when we render this in a graph database, what we're able to see is how we can trace a path from one topic to another topic and say, okay, here are the types of other things we need to be talking about, so that when we begin to, if we want to, broach that topic in the future, then we can build our way from the bottom up. So, if you're wanting to get into email marketing, but you've been focused on SEO, for example, maybe you start writing about, title tags, subject lines when it comes to outreach, things like that, right? And then at that point, you're starting to talk about the email process, and then from there, you can build yourself into email marketing. So that's one of the main things that we've been focused on with it. We'll be releasing like a public version soon for people just to check out from GitHub and go play around with themselves. It doesn't do everything that ours does internally, because we're always testing new features, things like that. But it will be able to take the search results and put them through an initial round of clustering. We've added additional rounds onto it. There's some times where, maybe you want to set the threshold differently. One thing that we've been looking at recently is actually processing natural language from the meta descriptions. I know a lot of people don't, they don't think meta descriptions are a ranking factor. I don't think they are either, but there's a ton of insight in them. When you're looking at meta descriptions, if you process that using like NLP, you can really start to understand like what the search intent is at a deeper level besides just informational, navigational, things like that. You start to understand like what are the things that people are actually looking for, because Google changes the meta description so much, right? Like they change them. I think what the Ahrefs study said it was like 80% of the time. So if Google's changing that meta description, that's the best insight into understanding what Google thinks is relevant on those pages for that keyword.
That's a knowledge nugget right there. Man. All right. So yeah, I didn't think of that. I mean, and you're actually pulling this stuff too within your tool that you got going on?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and this tool
so
you could
you can use SERP API or Data for SEO or two like readily available APIs to pull this stuff in. We're gonna have to build our own crawler at some point to be able to scrape and pull this data in, just because I don't like to be wholly dependent on third-party tools. But for anyone out there looking to start it, those are two great resources to start with.
Got it. Okay, we got Zen saying that's awesome. You applied your programming background so well with growing traffic, and we got Amon saying amazing knowledge boom on that one tip right there. Okay, so I want to let's talk a little more about your blog post. I mean, it's pretty long, and I saw that you actually do also use what Marie Haynes was talking about, like like a lot of people that have been ranking up there have been using table contents and stuff like that. I mean, was that like something that you've just always been doing, and for your blog?
Yeah, I think I always try to approach content from the perspective of what's going to be good for the person reading this article. So I think table of contents, when you're working with any sort of longer document, you want to be able to sometimes you just want to jump to a quick answer sometimes, right? So I'd originally wrote this guide about one of the first pieces of content I wrote was about Google My Business, and it was a huge long guide, and that's where we actually got I guess a decent amount of leads from whenever we first started, when we were focused more on local SEO, because huge long guide, had a table of contents, but I was ranking like number 1 for Google My Business guide. I was beating Google and HubSpot for it. And but this is such a long guide. Sometimes people don't want to know how to do every little thing, right? They just want that one quick answer. So if you're not going to break stuff up into real hub and spoke content, if you're going to create a pillar piece like that, I think table of contents are a no-brainer. We've seen a lot of times too, including those, like that's how you start to get whether it's a feature snippet or some additional like site link navigations underneath, not your traditional site links that you see underneath the search term, but those extra SERP features underneath the search that are linking to deeper parts of the article.
Oh, nice. I didn't think of that one. And then, I mean, also I feel like, it has that engagement signal, right? Because I was actually clicking around on yours, and it's like, so I'm putting all these signals on your page.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, I was jumping around trying to figure things out. But, again, one of the, I mean, we kind of talked about it already, about like how topic clusters fit into your strategy, content strategy. But I mean, do you feel like topic clusters is like the future of SEO right now? Because I mean, you're right, there's a bunch of tools that are actually coming out, creating these things and clustering things. And I mean, is this where you think SEO is going? I mean, you built an in-house tool for it.
Yes, I think that it's been going that direction for a while. I think HubSpot, they wrote their article about that back in 2017, when Matthew Barbie was still, I think, like on the SEO team, and everyone's kind of talked about like a hub and spoke model ever since. I think that like the focus model from being like one keyword per thing, like, if you're looking at Ahrefs and you go to top pages report, that's probably the most most used report I use, because I'm not really concerned about, how are we doing for a specific keyword. I'm more concerned about how is this page doing for this concept, for this topic, right? And so I think that like topic clusters are important, but one of the things I address in the article is that like they're not a silver bullet. They won't solve all your problems. They just make one part of the process a little bit easier. Whether and if you're doing it manually, it's still not easy. It takes a long time. You're either relying on your gut, or you're relying on a lot of manual work, looking at SERP results and things like that. But when we automated it, it made a lot of things on our end a lot faster and a lot easier to solve without by reducing the margin of error. But there's still a lot that comes after that, because when it's all said and done, you're left there saying, okay, here are these 20 pieces of content I need to make. Here's how they're, how I should cluster them together. But but when you're looking at 150, 200, 300 pieces of content, then the question becomes, okay, what order though? Like which ones should I actually make that are going to drive value to my business, right? So being able to look beyond vanity metrics like volume and start thinking about like, what's the actual, business value of this keyword, for me, right? Like, how many people is this going to convert? Can I use this in sales enablement? Can I use this in email marketing? Is this controversial, right? Can I take a different angle on this and actually contribute to the conversation? Being able to think about that and project like what the actual ROI of content is, that's where strategy actually comes in versus just being able to, cluster keywords together, right? That's just one step, and that's my opinion. So,
got it. All right. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit more about how search intent or like intent, because this is like a common thing that people kind of get confused about. There's transactional, navigational, but I love that tip about how Google can identify, we can identify certain type of intents through the meta descriptions. Do you have any other tips on identifying intent? I'm curious.
Yeah. So look at the actual search layouts. Like one of the things that we pull in, we have 3 layers of intent. One of them is just at the high level. We're looking at informational, navigational. You're just sort of standard. And then from there, we're looking at how the actual SERPs are laid out. So we're looking for instances of, are there video carousels? Are there image carousels? We're looking at title tags to see, are there numbers? Are there lists? What type of websites are ranking, right? So like we'll put in things like, if we're working with a health client, we put in a set of domains that we're looking for, like the NIH or the Mayo Clinic, right? Anything that's got like, scholar.google.com, right? Like, those are SERPs that you might want to shy away from. So we really look at how the SERPs laid out, because that helps you understand what type of content you need, not just, not just the intent, right? The intent may be, one of the common examples is how to tie a tie, right? You can write a blog post about that, that's fine, but you need a video, like, that's what people want, right? So being able to understand, what type of content you need in addition to the angle, I think is important. And then, you need to factor in, like, do you have the resources to make that type of content? Beyond that though, I think that's, one handy thing that people can do is when you're looking at, if you're looking to see, like, if you can rank 2 URLs on the same SERP, is to really look at those meta descriptions, because if you see that there are different search perspectives, right? So you may see one result that ranks, that's a, maybe it's a guide, maybe it's a, a list, maybe it's a set of stats or something like that. But if you look and you start to see that, the things that are being talked about in position 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever, in the meta descriptions are pretty different from what's in the top 3 or 4 results, then that's a good opportunity. You can actually create a different piece of content that hits it from that perspective, and you can end up having 2 URLs rank on the first page, anyway. And there are closer, there are tighter intents that second page would probably rank higher for whenever someone searches more specifically for it. But still, if you can have 2 positions on the search results, then you double your odds of getting a click, right? So
Yep. Love it. Man, you're dropping all these knowledge bombs. I'm gonna have to rewatch this episode to pull these all out. Okay, if anyone, we're coming close to time here. If anyone has any questions about growing your agency, content marketing, please put them in while I go ahead and ask my last question, and we can go to it. Skyler, I always ask this to all my SEO professionals here that come on the show. It's like, okay, if someone wants to get into at the SEO game, whether it's becoming an enterprise in-house SEO, agency SEO, some advice would you get them to tell them?
I would say read everything you can, learn how to, I think one of the fastest way to learn SEO is try to make your first $100 online. Even if that's doing like affiliate SEO, the things that you learn having to like throw together a website, put together some sort of information, even if you're just trying to generate leads to sell them to another business or something like that. The amount of, stuff that you're going to learn just figuring out how to get there, you're going to have enough to be able to, start to handle and tackle other types of projects. So just make something and try to make money from it. That's I think doing is one of the fastest ways to learn, period. So
Excellent.
Nice. I haven't heard that one yet. Just see what you can do what you have to do to make that $100, because at least it proves that you made it, and you'll just have to follow the steps. Love it. Okay, I didn't see any other questions come in here. So is there any last comments, advice that you want to give out to make this episode feel complete for you? Please, the stage is yours.
Yeah. So this one's a little more off topic, but when it comes to backlink building, one thing that we've been really adamant about here is that people should think of backlink building as a business development function. When you're trying to build links, work on your relationships first. Try to build relationships with people and think beyond the link, right? Think about what are different ways that we can actually benefit from collaborating together in the future, whether that's for yourself or your clients. We've actually been encouraging clients to learn how to do this in-house. So anytime you approach backlink building, don't start with an outreach email. Start with connecting and engaging and doing what you can to promote that person. One of the best ways I've found to build links for our own site or other client sites is figure out a way to make that other person money first. If I can figure out a way to make them money or send them a client, they are a lot more likely to to give me a link whenever I ask them for it. So
love it. Okay, so all right, how can anyone get a hold of you? And what's your email? And please let everyone know.
Yeah, you can go to ardentgrowth.com. There's a contact form on there. We've got a chat on there. You can hit me up on Twitter. It's @being_Skyler, or you can hit me up on LinkedIn. Just search for Skyler Reeves. Those are probably the three best channels. So.
Got it. Okay. All right. Can you please hold on right quick second before I sign off here? All right. All right, guys. That concludes another episode of the SEO Video Show. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to be notified when we go live next week. I will see you next Friday. Peace.
Thank you for watching. Hope you come back next week. Make sure to subscribe. You don't want to miss a thing. Hope you learn something new, because the vibe is incredible. From the special SEO professionals, SEO video show. Let's work. Want to see you be an SEO expert. Paul Andre De Vera helping you step it up. No delay right now. Time to level up. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe. Woo!